My name is Ari Keshishoğlu. I am Property Finders President. Together with me today, Lynette Abad. She's our Director of Research and Data. And also Stuart Shapley. He's the Director of New Homes. There is a serious situation, the number of cases of coronavirus. So we expect as a result of this an economic impact. In the past 25 years, there has been 3 other crises. The big one, which is the 2009 crisis, which had by far the biggest impact of any economic situation that happened. This year in 2020, there is a decline in growth. However, the global GDP growth is still expected to continue to grow. There is some hope. We made a lot of research on how the real estate industry globally is going to be affected. Near-term demand uncertainty, but also obviously technology is going to be a big ally throughout this situation, and we are a technology company. Now, and real estate, according to Moody's, is still exposed, but on the low exposure side. I don't want to say this is going to be the same, but sometimes it is seen as a safe investment haven. But I also want to be honest that it's likely that international demand will be hit during this time, much more so than local demand in general. Crisis doesn't mean that business entirely stops. It means a slowdown. And we see this a little bit every year during the Ramadan period. Now, the chart that you see here is the total number of leads that we provided in the UAE, the trend in 2019. There are 3 interesting periods. One, there is a Ramadan period where the demand goes down drastically, and then it comes back very fast. We see the same impact with Eid al-Adha later in the year. And obviously, end of year, this is also happening. And this is called a pent-up demand theory. What happens is that demand goes down for a specific period of time, but that doesn't mean that life stops. So basically, people are postponing their decisions, or they cannot make decisions, or they cannot do viewings, therefore business slows down. That doesn't mean that there won't be a comeback. And when all of this is over, we anticipate an increase in traffic, leads, and opportunities. And in China, actually, all of this happened around the Chinese New Year, which is a period that is similar to like our Ramadan or New Year's Eve in China. In 2019, things started to recover a week after the Chinese New Year. Remember the pent-up demand theory that I mentioned? This is what also China saw last year as well as the years before. Now, in 2020, because of the coronavirus situation, things started to recover not in 1 week, but in 12 days at a slower pace, but it still started to recover after the Chinese government was able to control the situation. It doesn't mean they went back to exactly the same level that they were, but they have normalized steadily for every single week after that. Now, when we look at the other countries in the world, we see that the governments that took bold decisions have managed the crisis much better. What is happening in the UAE is following a similar pattern like the countries where the situation is more under control. And as we know, the UAE government is never afraid of making bold decisions. There's a lot of limitation of entries to the UAE. There is intensive testing. There is like intense monitoring. Schools are closed. While these decisions might create fear because they're drastic, what was seen in China was that the more drastic the precautions are, the faster the comeback. Now, first things first, what you're seeing on the left side are the Dubai indices. Obviously, asking prices were higher than the transaction prices, but both of them went up during 2020. On the right side, this is the sales transaction volume aggregated across all of the country. So even in March, up to the 19th of March, there was a 19% increase versus 2019. I'm not saying by any means that right now we are not going to see a transaction slow down. I will come back to that. but this is the aggregate data of what happened in Dubai so far in the year. And this is the comparison of what happened in 2020 so far on sales leads versus 2019. Throughout the year so far, it was pretty stable. There was a big peak on week 7, which is somewhere mid-February, and then afterwards, the numbers went back to 2019 levels. And overall, as I shared, so far in 2020, the total is higher, but obviously last couple of weeks have been slower. Now on the right side, what you see is the real sales transaction volumes in 2020. This is not compared to 2019. This is 2020 trend. And as you can see, like similar to the chart that you see on the left, somewhere mid-February, the transaction volumes peaked. And sometime at the end of February, the number of transactions started to decline. But I want to highlight the fact here, total Dubai level, there are still transactions that are happening. And as one funny, interesting news, on the 10th of March, Dubai had one transaction worth 330 million dirhams that we picked up from the news today. Now, rental is a similar situation. But we started to see the impact more intensely as of last week. Again, this is similar information. These are total Dubai weekly rental leads compared to 2019. Basically, if a bar is high, it means that the 2020 week, we provided more leads, that much more leads than in 2019. And again, similar picture here. Sometime, the week 5, week 6 and 7, the demand peaked, and then end of February, demand started to slow down, and especially last week, the demand had a harder slowdown. It was lower than 2019, only the second time in this year. Okay. Now, once again, I want to repeat this multiple times. A slowdown does not mean that life has stopped. There are still rentals that are going on. People are still finding homes. People are still buying. It might be lower, but when you look at total Dubai, when you look at total UAE, even if slower than a few weeks before, there still are things happening. Life hasn't stopped. And on the right side, what we see are the rental contracts in Dubai. And there has been a 30% increase between January and September. We're not going to forecast the future because it's impossible, and I don't want to be misleading anyone on this call. I want us as a company to be your objective data sharing partner. The last point I want to make here is that the first indication of a recovery, like we saw in the Chinese example, will likely be an even slight increase in number of leads that we see. If the next week there were 102 leads, then this will likely be signaling us a potential start of the recovery and a return to normal. I want to say here that we are your partners and we'll go through this time together. And we only do well as a company if your business does well. So you have the portals that we have, which is the Property Finder, where we give you leads. We have Data Finder, and then we have the CRM solutions, as you know, and we have the Moashar Index. We're going to give you, everyone on this call, a free 1-month access to our unique data platform on Data Finder, so that you have the right data to navigate through these tough times. Even though there is a slowdown in leads, we are going to continue to invest to our marketing and to our traffic overall. We're going to prioritize our people's safety, and we'll be focusing on customer support. And our account managers will be supporting customers with the right packages so that you can still have visibility of your properties and of your demand. We're going to ask you to call your account managers, and we'll give you more details on that. And they're going to be taking your feedback, and then we'll be giving the right package for you overall. Okay. Now, number one question that this is not a holiday, it's not Ramadan, it's not something else. And I want to say that I fully acknowledge this. And by any means, I'm not underestimating the severity of this crisis. But what I'm trying to do, and what we are trying to do, is to give you as much information as we can. And with the information that we have, you can make your decisions. And what I'm also saying you is that we will do everything in our power to make sure that your business continues during this time. There was a question on what are your predictions for the UAE market for the next 6 months, and I'm going to ask Lynette to cover that.
So I always answer this question first by saying I don't have a crystal ball. No one has a crystal ball, and we cannot predict the future. However, I can talk about the data, the cold hard facts. 2020 was faring very well compared to 2019 and 2018. In 2019, the daily average sales transaction was 145. In 2020, it's 169, and this is as of March 22nd. So this is as of 2 days ago. So construction is still going on. This is good. The developers are still continuing to construct. We've had over 200 transactions over the last 2 days. So as far as what's going to happen within the next 6 months, as Ari said, the next few weeks are going to be difficult. They're going to be slow for everybody across the globe. The UAE was very swift and very proactive in implementing harsh restrictions. But I think this, as Ari has also mentioned, it's going to save us. So again, this is a very short-term situation that we are in. I do feel that within a few weeks, a month, 2 months from now, we will start to pick up that pace, that upward turn that we were seeing so far this year.
Now, next question. What are you specifically offering your customers? Talk to your account managers who will know your business, who will know your needs better, and we are going to empower them with things that can be done for you. We're currently finalizing different initiatives to support you, our best partners, and they will be in a position to give you help from tomorrow morning. You can start calling them now and tell them specifically what needs you have. They will be able to come back to you. My team have been working round the clock to improve our technologies as a company, and so far we did not have a single issues after starting from home. So we have taken significant precautionary measures, and so far they have been working amazingly well. We are continuing to invest to our technologies. We're launching new products, new features for everyone, and hopefully you're going to see that. Lynette, do you think that the LD can find a safe solution to conclude the sales transaction completely online?
This is something that they've been working on, and it's also something that Smart Dubai has been working on. However, it's not going to happen anytime soon. It's something that is supposed to be completed by the end of this year.
With Ramadan starting early this year and COVID-19 impact already showing a downturn on real estate, what is Property Finder doing to generate more leads and keep business going? Actually, on the user side, we have seen our user traffic has been quite stable. We are not going to slow down on marketing so that you can continue to do at least some business that even during this difficult times. Dubai real estate market was quite vulnerable in terms of mortgage properties, and recently many owners lost their income from vacation home rental to cover their mortgages. And we will, so basically it says we will probably see this kick in a few months, and could be a potential trigger for steeper price reductions. How do you see this affecting the market prices?
So as all of you probably know, UAE released a stimulus package. So part of that package is that anyone that has a mortgage or a loan or a car loan, credit cards, can ask for 1 month free, basically 1 month of no payments. However, if you are directly affected by the virus, so if you were laid off, if your salary has been cut, if you got sick from the virus, you will be getting 3 months. So this is something that will help all of the residents and homeowners within the UAE, especially the ones directly affected, like investors, vacation home rental owners. Also, the UAE Central Bank, as all of you know, for first-time home buyers, have increased the cap. So now it's a 20% down payment versus 25 as before. And also banks during this time, they're being very competitive as they were beforehand, but considering the current situation, anyone that's looking to buy, they have very good offers and the interest rates are very low.
Okay, thank you, Lynette. Lynette, another one for you, I'm going to read it. Transactions shown currently is still high, but I believe it is still the backlog from transactions registered. I believe the effect will only be reflecting in the next 45 days. Are these the tail end transactions? And how can we conclude that these transactions were in final stages regardless of the situation? Lynette?
Okay, so we've done a lot of work with Dubai Land Department, especially when we're going through the exercise of creating Muasher. So before there was a backlog, especially on off-plan properties, sometimes it was a 6-month backlog. Now we got them down to 1 month due to the creation of the index because we wanted to make it as accurate as possible. So off-plan transactions, there should be no more than a month lag, if that. And for secondary ready transactions, once it's registered in the registration trustee, it gets registered the same day as a transaction, and that's when we get it as well. So those transactions are in real time. And you will find all of this on a data finder platform. Transactions, we have a 1-day lag just because it takes a lot of time to process. But you will find all of this on data finder.
What do you guys suggest about financial crunch that some developers might face in the coming months? Is there a mechanism in place to check developers' cash flow and project progress to check from land department?
So we don't incorporate the financials, but we do incorporate, so within Data Finder, we have project and supply, which is a module that shows all projects under constructions up until 2025. So we get this information from a few different sources. The main source is Dubai Land Department. We have a direct feed from them of project status. And we are the only ones that have this feed from them. In addition, we have a team within Data Finder that constantly calls the developers, the consultancies, the contractors, just to get construction updates. The developers that have sold their properties that are currently under construction, they're still constructing. Construction hasn't stopped. And as you, I don't know if you recall in that Moody's, that round pie chart, low exposure was real estate REITs as well as construction. So I don't foresee construction slowing down. Now, what will probably happen is as units get completed, developers are going to offer many incentives to get them either rented or sold. During this time, typically, times like this, the rental market, the demand picks up and rentals typically surge. What we have been seeing as far as prices is within the last 3 months, prices in certain areas started to stabilize, if not rise. I know I'm trying to paint a rosy picture and be positive, but this is what the data is showing us. And this is the reality as of 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
It's more of a comment, but I still want to take it. Chinese real estate market is consumed by Chinese, 1 billion of them. We rely on international investors that travel here, which will be down massively. I don't think it's a fair comparison. And once again, we are not saying by any means that we are going to see exactly what happened in China. The point of sharing the Chinese information is because it is one of the better information that we have on what happened after the situation was under control. On you specifically relying on international investors, and everyone have their different client base, so the situation will be different for everyone. Some of you will feel things, a little harsher. Some of you will see will be less impacted by it because everyone has their different business situation. And hopefully, with data finder information, you will be able to dig down to what information you need for your specific case. Do you think the LD can waive 2% on property registration?
So Abu Dhabi waived sale transaction fees as well as Tawfiq, which is their rental fees. Dubai has not yet announced anything yet. I do believe that would happen in Dubai in the next week or so.
Now, on us, Property Finder, helping you with virtual video viewings, right now we do have the technology that helps you include 3D information of your listing. What we are doing is to improve that, so that at least when you get a lead, you can give them a bit more information about the property. When things start to resume to normal, then you can continue you can progress as well. We're working on it. We're going to let you know as soon as we have that. I hope you found this helpful, and we're going to send you a survey of how you found this webinar overall, and we will ask you whether you're interested to have another one or not. Our business does well only if your business does well, so we'll be hopefully great partners to you during this time. Please give us the feedback, and thank you for being with us.